we'll talk about Chris Sheppard and Brad Damon, two remixers who have definitely taken the world and Canada by storm with their remixing and producing capabilities. We talked to them about what is involved with producing and remixing a track. Well, here's yours truly with the dynamic duo.
Who do you love?
We're here at the Lydian Sounds with Chris Sheppard and Brad Damon. They are both remixers, producers. Everybody knows who Chris Sheppard is, of course, the main man behind the wheels of steel, like you say it. How's it going?
It's going great, Gino. Nice to see everyone. Hello.
You got to take the glasses, of course. And Brad's got even cooler glasses on. How you doing, Brad?
They're just yellow, that's all.
It's part of our studio look because we've actually been locked in this room for several days now. It's nice to see you, and our eyes would frighten or break your television set. Gino, how you doing, man?
Keeping busy, and you know, we always have interesting interviews when it comes to Chris Sheppard, and we have a new guy here, Brad, which isn't so new to the music world. Brad, tell me what you have come up with in the remixing, producing world.
Various stuff from Carol Medina, Temperance, BKS, a long time ago. Ace of Base, E17 Republic, Joey, the new single, Angel.
Let's go through the process of music. I mean, where do you guys start? I guess you find your artist first, right? Why don't you guys explain to us the process of making a track?
Okay, first of all, in a situation what we're working on right now, we're working on remixing Loving's new record. It's something Brad and I are also members of the group, and we'll take our basic song and then completely change it around, do a remix for it. If somebody calls, like, for example, I've done remixes for, like, New Order or Jesus Jones. In Jesus Jones' case, I did a mega mix where I took a lot of their tracks, and I didn't think that the drum tracks were working, and because it was a mega mix, several songs, I brought the drum track out and wrote a new drum program for it and a new bass line for it, and then took vocal samples from different parts of the songs and just key ingredients that you find. You want to keep the song as much a part of the actual song as possible, but yet you want to make it friendly for the dance floor. Like, for example, the first remix I did was for a group called Skinny Puppy, who were a very industrial sounding group, but they wanted to get on the dance floor. So we rewrote the drum track and rearranged the bass line and just started to do edits on it and extended it out and brought elements of the song in. After every 8 bars, bring in the keyboards, and then after 16 or 32, then bring in the vocal. So it's still the same song, but it's a lot friendlier for the dance floor, if I'm making any sense.
How long does it take? What's the process of putting a track together? How long? A few months? 1 week?
It depends on if you're talking Chris Sheppard time here, which is I want the track yesterday. So basically, no, I mean anywhere from, like, some tracks go like, you know, you sit down, you write the track in a half an hour, you produce it that day, you record it the next day, and it's great. I did Pleasure Beat that way, but I mean sometimes, you know, you can't just write a song in the day, you can't just sit down, sometimes your mind's not into it, sometimes your equipment's not working. I'd say no, it shouldn't take you any longer than a week to 2 weeks to do a track.
That's standard, a week or 2 weeks. Like, if there's something that's really important to you, you want to spend a lot of time with, you'll take your time, you'll go over and over it again. But often if you're doing that, sometimes the perfect element comes out right in the first take. And you can't ignore that. Sometimes you can be looking for it to be too perfect and you clutter it up. Often the case is less is more. And so with certain songs that we get to remix, they're often cluttered and they're confusing, and we'll strip down different elements and eliminate them. But you run into problems doing that too. I did a remix for National Velvet, and I immediately said that I wanted to change the drum programming, and I eliminated the drum kit. Then it turned out that the guy who was the drummer was a guy I went to school with when I was a kid. So I just blew him out of the mix right away. So that's another point that it's very important that the band doesn't get involved in the process if you're leaving it to remixers. For example, like right now we're remixing our own material, but if we're doing another group, if they really truly want to get on the dance floor, they should try and leave it in our trusty hands, and then we pass it off to some DJ friends of ours and they try it out in different clubs, and if they like it, then it works.
Who's the most interesting remixer that you've worked with, other than Brad, of course?
Well, Todd Terry. I do a lot of work with Todd Terry in New York, and he's sort of become the big name, I guess, of the past few years. He's on quite a roll. He's excellent. I think Todd has a magic touch, and I was expecting, you know, a nice big studio when I went there first to meet with him in New York, but in fact, he works with a lot of analog equipment, whereas we tend to work more with digital equipment, and he gets a certain sound out of that analog, like really old machines, pre-1970, old Ampeg things, and he uses that, and it's just kind of interesting to see Todd's style is much different, but yeah, it's very rewarding.
So how are the remixers there in the States as compared to us here in Canada?
The Americans are great. They have a solid. Most of them have a solid production. They have, solid equipment. The money's better there, so you can take more time. The big problem here is that the companies give you a small amount of money and expect you to do big studio productions. And I remember, going back, it's like, time after time again, it's like, oh, Brad, can you do a remix for $500? It's like, well, sure, I can do a remix for $500. It'll take me one day though, because that's my daily fee. You know what I mean? In the States, $5,000 minimum. I get remixes from the States. It's like $3,500 US, which is, it's like crazy. You know what I mean? So it's like, you give me the money and I can put the time, I can rent extra gear, I can do all this extra stuff, give you that extra week.
I think the American mixers are great, and as I said, I work with Todd, and Todd's done work for me in the past with BKS, and probably worked with us on Love Inc. as well. And I play all of his remixes and love his stuff. But the thing I love about it is his style, or the American style. If you're looking for that, there's like the 187 Lockdown guys for the Speed Garage sound out of the UK are sort of the dominant mixers in Europe right now, and they have a completely different style. So it depends what you want. And ideally, a perfect 12-inch record with many different mixes for me would have one mix of us, one mix from Todd, and a mix from the UK, and maybe even like a more high-energy Italian mix.
That's Chris Sheppard and Brad Damon. Thanks for giving us a little bit of your time. I know you guys are busy remixing away. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Gino. Lots of respect. TLM.
Can't hear you.
Sorry, Smart. One more. That was great.
Now back to the countdown at number 5.